Welcome to the Best Series, everyone. We're so happy to have you here today. This is the first of three in a series of Santa Barbara City College Career Pathway panel webinars called Beyond Expectations and Stereotypes, otherwise known as BEST. And each webinar will be recorded and placed on the Career Center's website. You'll get a follow-up email after the event. My name is Jana Mori, and I'm the Student Program Advisor in the Career Center at Santa Barbara City College. And we're all so glad that you're here with us today. I will be making introductions, and then Judge Deroian, who is the brainchild of the BEST series, will talk about what it is and present its purpose before launching into a presentation. And then at the end, we will have a Q&A. So make sure to put your Q&A, your questions in the Q&A whenever any question comes up. I do want to apologize for the very last minute change in panelists. In these times, we do have to be flexible because of illness, right? And that's what happened here today. But thankfully, we have no less than the accomplished Elizabeth Diaz, attorney at law, who is stepping in. And thank you for stepping in today, Elizabeth. We apologize. Oh, I just apologize. I'm not going to apologize again. I was just looking at my notes. I would like to make some introductions and recognize a couple of people because, as they say, it does take a village. We have Dave Saunders. He's our Justice Studies instructor. Christina Urena, EOPS Care and CalWorks Director. And I don't know if Margaret Prothero is on, but she's an English professor and the faculty coordinator for Guided Pathways. And then last but not least, my companion in the Career Center is Christina McGuire. She's our internship coordinator and will be monitoring the Q&A at the end. Dave, do you want to say a couple words about Judge Deroian before I do?
I do. I want to express sincere and deep gratitude. For those, I see a bunch of my students here. I'm glad to see you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dave Saunders. I teach here at City College. And I had the honor of working with Judge Nguyen Deroian prior to her taking the bench, prior to her becoming a judge when she was a prosecutor. And it was a real honor. And it has been a tremendous pleasure to see her rightfully take a position of power in the criminal justice system here. There are a couple of things about the judge that you need to know that are very, very impressive. Things that have impressed me most are her impeccable moral character. She is where she is because of her outstanding character, her hard work, and her deep and authentic concern for others. So she worked hard to get to where she is now. And now that she's there, she's doing something that's even more impressive, which besides being a fantastic judge, she's serving as a role model for people who hold positions of power to empower others. And I'm so grateful she's here. This series would not be possible without her. She's got a powerful story to tell you. I think it'll leave you with a sense of inspiration and hope. So thanks for giving me a chance to say some words about Judge Nguyen Deroian.
Thank you, Dave. That was fantastic. And now I'll do the formal intro of Judge Nguyen Deroian. She's a graduate of Allen Hancock College, which is a sister college to Santa Barbara City College, right? She graduated from the Santa Barbara College of Law in 2006. She was born in Vietnam and started her legal career as a deputy district attorney in Santa Barbara County. And then in 2017 was selected by the Santa Barbara Superior Court judges to serve as the Family Court Commissioner for the Santa Barbara Superior Court. And she had a number of roles there during that time. The following year, Judge Deroian was appointed to the Santa Barbara Superior Court by now former Edmund G. Brown, our former governor. She's currently assigned to a criminal calendar. Elizabeth Diaz. She is the managing attorney for the Family Violence Prevention and Immigration Program at the Legal Aid Foundation in Santa Barbara County. Her focus is primarily on restraining orders and other related family law and civil matters for victims of domestic violence, elder abuse, sexual abuse, and human trafficking. Ms. Diaz was born and raised in Santa Barbara. Her first language was Spanish. She also attended Santa Barbara City College. Well, she attended Santa Barbara College of Law as well, but I wanted to let you know she's also an alum of SBCC, just like a number of you are students right now or alums. She got her BA in Law and Society at UCSB and her JD, or otherwise known as Juris Doctorate, from the Santa Barbara College of Law. Elizabeth was honored to be the 2017 Santa Barbara Women Lawyers Attorney of the Year, and also was the Santa Barbara County Bar Association President from 2020 to 2021. So you can see we have some very stellar panelists here today, and really excited to have you. As I said, at the end, we'll have a time for Q&A. And from here, I would like to go ahead and turn the webinar here over to the judge.
Thank you so much. Wow. I always want to refer to Dave, Professor Saunders as Chief Saunders, as that's how we referred to him back in the DA's office. Thank you so much for the kind words. I am honored and thrilled that everyone signed up for Zoom. I know Zoom fatigue is real. And so I appreciate everyone's willingness to take time out of your busy schedule and join us. We had hoped to be in person, but the pandemic, of course, had other ideas for us. But in the next couple of months, we will have additional series or presenters, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do that in person. I want to thank, quick thanks to our EOPS director, the Career Center, Professor Saunders, Justice Studies Department, and Guided Pathways, and City College staff that all worked so hard to put this series together. So I thank you for being here and helping me put this together. So I'm Judge Deroian. I'm here in Santa Barbara County, currently assigned to Lompoc. And before I talk about my path to the bench, I want to give you some information about the BEST series and why I started it. It stands for Beyond Expectations and Stereotypes. And I'm willing to bet that some of you, maybe all of you, have had to deal with stereotypes. You've had to hear that, been told you can't do X, Y, and Z. You've dealt with racism, sexism, xenophobia, transphobia, ageism, and sadly, you're not alone. I created this program because I think it's so important for students to see legal professionals in their community who have been able to overcome the same barriers that students are probably facing today, and have been able to achieve their goals. I also spend a lot of time talking to students, and I hear often that many of them have never met an attorney or a judge, much less have an opportunity to connect with them. And so I think this program is important to bring students and legal professionals together. And I also think I'm hopeful that this program will give students the motivation and give them real life examples of successful attorneys and judges who have had the same sort of struggles and experiences and made it. California has a diverse population. Despite that diverse population, we don't have that diversity in the legal profession. We are getting better, but there's still a lot of work to do. And so I hope this series, for those of you who have any interest in the legal field, motivates you to pursue a career in the legal field. There are so many career choices, and you'll hear from Elizabeth Diaz in just a moment, but I think a lot of times people just assume, you're going to be a trial attorney, a litigator, a DA, a public defender, but there are so many choices once you get a law degree. And so you'll hear from different folks who have a law degree and the different things that they are accomplishing in this community. We have an amazing lineup of diverse legal professionals from Santa Barbara County. And when I say diverse, I mean it in every sense of the word. I'm not talking about just race, but in life experience and pathways to the bar. Our presentation in March is going to feature retired Judge George Eskin, and he's going to share with you the importance of making connections and mentorships. I'm not going to spoil his presentation, but I can tell you that there are countless number of judges, attorneys, a Court of Appeal justice who count him as their mentor, who will tell you that he has helped countless numbers of legal professionals in this community achieve their goals. And I hope we'll have Deputy Public Defender Jess McCary with us in March. And then we'll end our series for this semester with the Assistant Director of Admissions, Tony Tolbert from UCLA Law School, and Dean Jackie Gardina from the Colleges of Law to talk about general admission requirements for law school. And so I hope you will return and participate in the series. I think it will be well worth it. So my path, if anybody would have told me 19 years ago, 20 years ago, this is where I would be, I would have laughed at you. I never imagined I would be here. I was born in Vietnam and my family immigrated to the United States in 1975. I actually didn't become a US citizen until I was in my 20s. We arrived in the United States when I was an infant, and we were sponsored by a very generous American family that took us in. We lived with this family. They didn't speak Vietnamese and we didn't speak English. And they took us in and helped my parents until they were able to get on their feet. My parents they got a job cleaning offices. And I remember as a small child going with them at night to clean those offices. And they were able to work their way up, get a better paying jobs, and finally save enough to purchase their own business. They bought a liquor store. So I grew up in a liquor store, having worked probably every weekend as a small child up until my preteens in a liquor store. And we were lucky in that we grew up in a middle-class family. But I made some choices that made my life a little more difficult, and I call it a detour, made my path to law school a little longer than it needed to be. I was 17 at the time. I got pregnant, 18 with my first child, and 20 with my second child. I was 20 years old. And so at age 21, I found myself with no marketable skills, no real way to support my children. And so while I had occasionally taken a few community college classes, nothing that was really going to help me land a job, a decent paying job. So I decided to go to legal secretarial school to learn how to be a legal secretary. I finished secretarial school and I was sent on my first job interview. And I was excited and I really needed a job. Unfortunately, it wasn't a great interview. During that interview, it was an attorney, a male attorney, and somehow the fact that I had 2 children came up and he asked me what my goal was. I can't remember now if I said I wanted to be a paralegal or if I wanted to go to be an attorney. But what I do remember distinctly, and I'll never forget, is his response, which was, well, that's a nice dream, but that's not realistic. And so I often think about what would have happened if I would have let that experience affect me, and if I would have let that attorney cause me to not continue. Not surprisingly, I did not get that job, and that's okay. I wouldn't have taken it anyway. But it led me to my next job, which I believed helped me get to where I am today. I got a job as started as a part-time file clerk, worked my way up to a legal secretary. And then when I left the firm, I was a litigation paralegal. During that time, I was fortunate enough to meet wonderful attorneys who encouraged me and helped me. The owner of the firm paid for my tuition to obtain my paralegal certificate. He gave me the flexibility to work from home before working from home was a thing. I worked full time while I applied for law school. I got into law school, and at the time I was living in San Luis Obispo County. So I drove 3 hours, 3 nights a week, back and forth to law school and home to San Luis Obispo County. And I did that for about 2 years, and I eventually moved to Santa Barbara to finish law school. Again, I was fortunate enough to find a job in Santa Barbara with a law firm that, again, encouraged me, gave me the flexibility to work full-time, intern, attend law school, and be a mom. So during my time in law school, I interned for Judge Hill, who is a judge here in Santa Barbara. And when I was done with that internship, he suggested I intern for the district attorney's office. That put me in contact with a deputy DA, and I interned for the DA's office throughout the rest of my law school, my time in law school, and while I was waiting for my bar results. But that experience, that opportunity, and that connection made me realize that I wanted to be a deputy DA. So after law school, it was the only job that I applied for. And I truly believe that the connections I made during that internship helped me when I applied for the job. One of my last classes in law school was trial advocacy. The professor at the time was the district attorney, Tom Snedden. And so I treated that 6-month class as a 6-month job interview. I did my best to show him that I would work hard and I'd have the ability to be the best DA for him. So I finished law school in December of 2005. I took out a $10,000 school loan, stopped working for 3 months to focus solely on studying for the bar. And at that time for me, it was, I felt, was my one shot to get it done, because I knew I couldn't take 3 months off work with 2 kids I needed to support, and I knew I couldn't afford to take out another school loan. So I treated it like a job, and thankfully it worked out. Once I passed the bar, I applied for one job, and that was with the DA's office. And I was thrilled to get hired. At the time, there were 5 open deputy DA positions, which was unheard of, because at that time, nobody left the DA's office. They were career prosecutors. And I was told that there were nearly 500 applicants for those 5 positions. And I am convinced that the connections I made, in addition to the hard work, got me that job. And so that is why I will stress these connections you make are so important. I started as a deputy DA in 2006. I handled misdemeanor cases and eventually worked my way up, handling everything from major narcotics, gangs, juvenile cases, and ended my career in the vulnerable victims unit, handling rape, child molestation, child pornography, human trafficking, and domestic violence cases. I left the DA's office in 2017 after I was appointed as a family court commissioner. I held that position for just a little over a year, and then was appointed by Governor Brown to the Santa Barbara Superior Court. And since then, I've been assigned to a criminal trial department. So 19 years might sound like a long time, because that's about the time I started law school to where I am today. But I promise you, it goes by so fast. And in the legal profession, historically, it would take a lot longer to become a judge, and you had to be a little older. I was 43 when I was appointed, and that used to be young to be appointed as a judge. However, in the last few years, the judges are getting appointed at a younger and younger age. And I know that our current governor, as was former Governor Brown, he's committed to appointing diverse judicial officers. So please don't be discouraged by the amount of time it takes to get through college and law school. You know, I was told this, and I still believe it to today: education is so valuable. And once you have it, no one can take it from you. And I want to also prepare you. You're going to have run-ins, you're going to have experiences with negative people, ignorant people who might tell you, you know, you can't do it, or, you know, you got the job only because you filled a quota. But I want you to know and be prepared. I'm telling you this not to discourage you, but to prepare you, because being prepared is a huge part of being successful. And if I had listened to the few naysayers that told me, you can't do it, and I let their voices drown out the many who told me I could, I wouldn't be here today with you. You're going to have those experiences. I would urge you to push past, and don't let those negative voices, those people, make you back down or not do or achieve your goals. We are, as a society, I think, getting better at recognizing that there shouldn't be expectations or stereotypes of what people should look like or what their backgrounds need to be successful. So now's the time. I would urge you all to try to achieve your dream. And finally, before I turn this over to Elizabeth, I want to just share something I read recently that has been so true for me. And it was an author quoting a doctor who said, in life, we are surrounded by thousands of moments of chance, and we have to be prepared and attentive so we can grab those opportunities when they come. And this is absolutely true. I can tell you so many examples of these opportunities in my own life that resulted in connections that I know helped me get to where I am today. I created this series to give you those moments. So please seize the opportunities. We are going to, I think Jana put in the chat an email address. Feel free to contact me. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And so I'll turn it over to Elizabeth, who's going to tell you her amazing path to the bar. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Judge. Before I start, I do want to acknowledge and to thank you for the invitation. I had the honor to practice or litigate in front of Judge Deroian when she was a commissioner. It was very brief, but definitely made an impact on me and colleagues in our office, female attorneys. We were very impressed, very professional, and really an inspiration for us to be like. And so we too share the same sentiment as Dave Saunders.
Thank you.
So I will start. And so let's see, I am, like Jenna said, Spanish was my first language. I am born and raised in Santa Barbara. Both of my parents, I'm first generation American. My parents are from Mexico. They met here. They speak little English, though friends of mine who have held full on English conversations with them swear they speak English, but to me, it seems like I'm always translating, they don't speak that much, but I think that they speak a lot more than I know. And so growing up, I was pretty much translator, negotiator, and I think helping them and realizing that they sometimes get in situations where they don't know the language, they don't know the laws, and that really impacted me, and I really wanted to help and to not just them, but also people in that similar situation. And so that's really what led me to law. I think early on, I really was interested in being a lawyer. I was this Spanish-speaking kid, learned English in school, and was very shy. And I think sometimes I still am kind of shy. So I thought, how am I going to be a lawyer? I'm shy. I don't like to talk a lot. Public speaking was my biggest fear, but I knew that I wanted to help people, and I knew that would somehow I'd figure it out. And so I went after local schools, high school, went to City College and took classes to transfer to UCSB, took the required classes in the GPA, transferred to UCSB. And then afterwards, I thought I could leave, I could go to a school out of the area, but really I felt I needed to stay close. I have two other brothers who left, and I just felt that my parents would still need some help. And so I stayed local and decided to go to the local law school and thought I want to be a lawyer, and I want to be a lawyer that helps people, not a corporate lawyer, not someone. I kind of knew early on that I wanted to assist victims of domestic violence, children, vulnerable population. And so I was going to do that. So I didn't need a fancy degree from a fancy school. I just needed to have the degree to practice. And so I went to the law school here. It was a nighttime school. I've worked actually since 16 and throughout law school and to the present day. And it worked for me, and it worked well. And so I going to school at night, but prior to starting law school, I did when I was looking for a job, I did see an ad for a receptionist position at the Legal Aid Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization, and they needed a bilingual receptionist. And I thought that would be great for me. I could do that, and it introduced me to the law. And so I answered the ad, but they needed somebody full time, and I was still in school. But they offered me an internship, and I thought that would be great. I could do that. I can learn. I could figure out really if this is what I want to do. And the internship was with a program that they had called the Restraining Order Clinic, a domestic violence restraining order clinic. It was a pro-per clinic. It was run by a paralegal, and we would meet Mondays. And we would have our own clients. So we'd have volunteers, there'd be attorney volunteers, there'd be UCSB students, law school students. And so we all would have a client, we would interview the client, and then we would prepare the paperwork in pro-per for them. And then from there, we would be done. And then the the coordinator would be in charge of it and kind of accompany the clients if they needed, or obtain an attorney, refer an attorney for them. And so I immediately loved it. This is what I wanted to do. And so once I started interning at Legal Aid, and there was money available, they offered me a part-time position for an intake, and I took that, and I've been there ever since. I've been in numerous different positions. I was the intake, I was a legal secretary, paralegal, and a staff attorney, and now a supervising attorney. And now I'm supervising the program that I used to volunteer for. And that program is expanded. And I had, once I became an attorney and was able to take on cases, I was able to just keep asking for more, asking for a second attorney to represent in Santa Barbara, in North County. And so now we have a program that is 3 attorneys, including myself, to help and assist victims of domestic violence, elder abuse, dependent adult abuse, and human trafficking. And so that was my dream job. So I knew what I wanted to do. I just kind of fell into everything. I think falling or just stepping out of your comfort zone, because I think that's a big thing to do, to get what you want. If this is what you want, you go for it. You do what's necessary, or figure out a way to get there. Let's see, the connections, Judge Deroian had said connections was really important. I think I agree that connections in making with the attorneys, that connection, and that is really helpful in this legal community. It's a close legal community. And when I first became an attorney, I joined the Santa Barbara Women Lawyers Board. And really prior to that, I wasn't really an organized group kind of person. I just thought, well, I'm a lawyer now, I'm excited, and let's do it. And really believed in what they were doing. They really tried to help their community, especially women attorneys. And so I started there. And from there, I kind of there was an opening for the Bar Association, the County Bar Association, which is a membership for attorneys. We have like 500 to almost 600 attorneys, legal professionals in that group organization. And from the Santa Barbara Women Lawyers, there was on the board of the Santa Barbara County Bar Association, there's a representative from the women lawyers, and sort of kind of stepped into that. And then once I was there, was able to be there, make a difference. We did a lot for attorneys, try to provide MCLEs, which are classes, credits for ongoing education. And from there, just there's every year they have to figure out who's going to be on the executive committee, to be president, vice president, and the secretary and treasurer. And I really never thought of myself to be a person that would want to a leadership kind of role. I really saw myself as a worker bee. I kind of thought that was my role. But once I was offered, or it was suggested to be on that officer track, I thought, well, why not? Why not me? And once I was slated to be the 2020 bar president, and as we all know what happened to 2020, it was challenging, but know that for the bar president for that year, I was the first Hispanic attorney. I was the 11th female attorney to be president. So all the other years, and this organization has been in existence for about 100 years, I think more than 100 years. And so it was eye-opening to see that the stereotype, or that position was held by mostly older white gentlemen, and to be the 11th woman president, and then to be the first Hispanic attorney was really an honor. It was a privilege. And I really took that opportunity for 2020 with the pandemic. It's actually a 1 year duration to be president. And so I requested to be a president the second year to really do something. And so in that second year, in 2021, I was able to form a diversity and inclusion task force, which is really what I wanted to do in 2020, but kind of got sidelined a little with the pandemic and not knowing really what was going to happen and what we were doing. But we formed a task force, or I formed a task force, and now we are working towards more diversity, kind of educating our legal community. And everybody's been really open and receptive to our program, to trying to really have a diverse membership or legal community. And so I'm really proud of that, and really never thought that that would be something I would do, but I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Let's see, connections, internships, really important, but not only just the connections, I guess, just to tie it up, the connections with the attorneys, but also these organizations. There's the barristers in Santa Barbara, the Santa Barbara Bar Foundation, which is another organization. So once you become an attorney, you have also these other possible programs or organizations that help. Let's see, I think, make sure I touched upon everything. I don't think connections. No, I think that's it. I think maybe if, I don't know how much time I have, Judge, but do you want me to keep talking? Because I could talk a little bit more about legal aid and what we do, or
That'd be great.
Okay. And so Legal Aid is a nonprofit organization. It is the Legal Aid here. We help. It's a law firm. We assist civil matters, not criminal. Criminal usually is handled through the public defender's office, which is probably a guest that you will have soon in the upcoming series. But and so there's someone there for criminal cases. There's an attorney available to represent. And so in civil cases, there really isn't a right to have an attorney. And so legal aid tries to be available to people that wouldn't have the funds, of vulnerable population, victims of domestic violence, elder abuse, human trafficking, sexual assault. We also assist seniors. We assist people with low income. So we do have income qualifications for some of our programs, but we do not charge for our services. And the services are paid out through grants and private money and donations. We usually have a fundraiser, a Chowder Fest event. We've had that for many years, but the last 2 years we've had to cancel due to the pandemic. But so that's how we work on the nonprofit side. And hopefully in the series, you will have an attorney that would be able to kind of give you a little bit more insight as to the how for-profit law firms work. But the nonprofit, we are free for people that qualify for our services. And we represent and we go to court, we litigate matters. Restraining orders are mostly what we handle, that I handle. Divorces, custody related to victims of crime. So it's not open to everybody. It is to the victims, domestic violence victims. We also are handling some immigration cases, just all related to victims of crime. And so the UV says, TV says, VAWA self-petitions that we are assisting. And these are remedies that are available for victims that have called law enforcement and have complied with law enforcement, or in the case of a VAWA self-petition, they're married to a legal permanent resident or a US citizen. And so we have that program that it's expanded, from when I started with legal aid, it was a nonprofit, a self-help program with no attorneys. And now we have 3 attorneys and helping with more than just restraining orders. It's been such a great accomplishment. And so as the supervising attorney, there's 2 other attorneys, 3 in the program, but I'm able to assist them, to help them. I do administrative work. I do grant reports too, which is not my favorite, but it is part of the work for nonprofits. Just counting, because the funds that we get, some of them are federal funds. They are, and so the federal government does require what you did, reports on what you did, which is fine. But it's sometimes really time consuming. And I do handle my own caseload on top of being supervisor to assist with victims and clients. And so we report our numbers and we find, we have an executive director. We try to find more funds for our organization just to keep going. The nonprofit world is sometimes not as stable financially. There are some years that maybe it might be lean. There may be some layoffs, but luckily, and I don't know if it's really luckily, but I have not experienced any kind of layoff, because it seems like domestic violence is there's always a need. There's always the need for help in that. So that's kind of sad, but I am employed. That's how I continue business. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I think your job is so important. And I think it gives the students who've tuned in today an understanding or an example of other type of legal work that is necessary in our community. So thank you for being here. I think, so we have about almost 20 minutes left, a little less, to answer any questions. So I think, Christina, were you going to help us? I think there was already a question.
Yeah, there is a question already. So would a student be able to volunteer with legal aid? If so, how would we reach out?
Great question and great segue too. I wasn't sure how I was going to loop back into that. So we do offer internships. they are, right now we have, I am full with this quarter, this semester, but I think summer is available and definitely fall. So what you would do is you would submit a resume, a cover letter, you can send it to me, or if Christina, I think Christina, we have worked out an arrangement with City College. So if you want to tell a little bit more about how that protocol will work, we usually do take them directly, but if you are a City College student, it may be worth your while to go through Christina.
Yes, I actually, Elizabeth and I met up to speak about a formal internship arrangement. And if you are interested, feel free to connect with me and I'll put my email in the chat box and I could review your resume and cover letter and then forward it along to Elizabeth.
Great. And that, and we do have positions available. What an internship would entail is to shadow the attorney. When we were in person prior to pandemic, the students were able to come to court with me, were able to sit in to appointments, file letters, emails, correspondence, little case management, things that could be handled. And so bilingual is really great if you're bilingual. We do need the help, but you don't have to be. And but now we're adjusting, and so the shadowing is more remote. It's done. We have Zoom hearings, and so we could kind of set you up. We've cleared it with the commissioner that hears our cases, and so he is aware that students are listening, are observing. They're properly. There's the title. They're written on the Zoom as interns, so he is aware. Also, not so much sitting in on appointments, which is unfortunate because that's really where you see you hear the stories and you kind of see what can be done to help. But we do hold meetings, staff meetings and case review meetings that interns can sit in on, and then just projects that we have that we're able to have really could use the help with.
And I didn't mention this, but I did reach out to the city attorney's office in Santa Barbara. They always take interns. The district attorney's office is always taking interns. I think the public defender's office is taking interns. I don't think they're paid, unfortunately, but it's an opportunity to get sort of a feel of the type of law. The other thing I would urge is don't wait. You don't have to wait until you decide you want to be a lawyer to do this. You can start doing it now because you may find, you know what, this is not the kind of law I want to do. And then so you want different opportunities and get different experiences in different offices. And also, I think there was a question, I'll just answer this. I know interning, unpaid internships are tough right now. And so I get it. Sometimes you just can't swing it because you have to work and you need a paying job. So if I would then urge you to try to get a job if you have any interest in a law firm, a criminal defense attorney, maybe hiring part-time. And again, that's another way to get experience. And as you heard, I was lucky. I got paid, and my boss at the time, and I've heard this is, I think, the case for a few people, they've had their education paid for. I've heard that a attorney in Santa Barbara had law school paid for by her boss. I don't know how common that is, but it certainly happens. And if you are lucky enough to work for a firm that's willing to do that, I think that's a wonderful opportunity. And it's certainly sometimes available.
Thank you. We actually have a few other questions in the Q&A. Besides interning, what steps should I be making to set myself up for success? And I know you touched on some part-time jobs possibly. Are there any other things that students can be doing to set themselves up for success in this field?
For me, I think it's when you're ready, when you think you're ready to do this, you need to be prepared for the time commitment, because you don't want to go into this you know, without a real understanding of the commitment that it takes, because law school is tough. It takes a lot of time, and some people are, you know, I've always been envious of people who don't have to study very hard. I unfortunately was not one of those people. I always had to study and spend a lot of time preparing and studying. So I would say you want to educate yourself on what's required and how much time before you decide, is this really what I want to do, to commit?
Yeah, I would add just having good organization skills, scheduling, and really keeping to that schedule. So study habits, it's not impossible. It's not, you know, we were able to, the judge and I were able to do it. It is work though. It is some hard work, and but not impossible, I would think, I would add.
Leslie asked, what should I major in before law school?
You know, I was just a guest speaker last night in a class, and I had the same question. I mean, you have the common or typical undergrad degree of political science, you know, so many different things, but we've had judges who were theater majors. And so there's no specific, I think, major to get in, but I would say it's a lot of time. It's a huge time commitment. So you want to sort of have an understanding or idea of what it's going to take and whether you're really going to be interested in it, because there's nothing worse than going down that road and realizing, oh, I don't want to do this. So
I would add, we have some attorneys in our office majored in English, I think history, but I don't think it really matters. I think that you can major in whatever and then go to law school. I think it's actually preferred, just because you're going to be getting all the information in law school. So if you want to do other kind of major, I had at the time, Law and Society was still at UCSB, and that had sociology, that had political science, philosophy. It was a really great major. It had just a different, like a lot of classes, different kinds of classes.
If you had one advice for a student interested in becoming a criminal defense attorney, what would it be?
I would say don't watch TV shows, because it's 100% not realistic. Those like Law and Order, that doesn't happen in real life. And if you pulled some of the stunts that you saw on that show, you'd probably find yourself in contempt of court. So that's really not realistic. I would say go to court at some point when court is open again, although right now you can zoom in to any court that's in session and watch proceedings. That gives you a really great idea of what's happening and how attorneys behave in court. And so, you know, take advantage of Zoom, and you can log in to any courtroom that's in session. So for example, I will be in session tomorrow. I think you can go on our court website and find the Zoom information. Log in and just sit back and watch. It's fascinating, I think. For anyone who's really interested in criminal law, you can see attorneys making arguments. You can see me making decisions. You can hear victims make statements sometimes, defendants making statements, being sentenced. It's a great experience. And we didn't have this before the pandemic, so.
This is actually the perfect segue to Margaret's question. I know this is silly, but I can't resist asking, what do you think is the best, most realistic crime/law show or movie?
I can't answer that question because I don't have real cable. I only do streaming services, and so I don't watch that much TV. So I'm not the best person to answer that question, except to tell you Law and Order, CSI, NCIS, those are not realistic, but I think they're entertaining.
I don't think that they are. I wouldn't be able to really say which one is really realistic. I think that most of them are for show. The SVU ones, I mean, sometimes on a marathon on the weekends when they have I think on TNT or one of those channels, it's just one right after the other. And so I've been known to stay watching one right after the other. They're entertaining. They're definitely not realistic. And I have my nieces and nephews asking me, why am I watching this? Don't I see enough during the week? But it just is, I think it's more the characters and the storyline, and kind of takes you out of somewhere else. But I don't think there's any really realistic, even those objections sometimes, like I'll find myself saying, that can never happen. There's no way that's possible. And so maybe it's more to that, to say how it's not accurate.
Well, speaking of what you go through during the week, how do you take care of your mental health, especially after a case that may trigger or drain your energy?
That is a good question. And I've had different answers through, sorry, Judge, I'll answer first.
No, go ahead.
That is a good question. I have, there was a phase where I was working out, doing boot camp. It's exercise, boot camp, doing Pilates. The reformer kind of took a little session. I go in like little sections, little weeks of these exercises, or at this point it's walking and just exercising is really what has helped me. I started meditation, which I had kind of did a little bit, but doing a lot more now because it does help, because it is stressful. It worries. You get calls sometimes you have your list of things to do, but you get a call that a client is in need. It's an emergency. You have to drop everything and kind of try to figure out, the father has taken the child and they're missing, or the person was arrested that night and we're trying to figure out what's going on, and how we can make the victim safe and the children, the family safe. And so, or there's just problems with their custody and they're being difficult. And so whatever, we don't know from every day what we're going to get, but it's been stressful. Also family time, spending just when you're done, trying really hard not to answer emails and look at emails after hours and on the weekends. Sometimes it's difficult, but I think that helps too. And just trying to enjoy your life.
I would agree with all of that. Finding that appropriate work and then life balance is key to taking care of yourself. So working out, spending time with your family, and being present with your family, being present outside of work, I think is so important, because burnout is real. So.
That's a great question. What are some classes you recommend that help build you up to law school?
I would say a lot of writing classes, if you can. That's important, especially depending on what type of law you want to go into. We have attorneys who they're the research attorneys, and all they do is write. They write appeals, they write appeals, they write motions. So you want to, I think that's always helpful. Again, taking classes that might be interesting. So administration of justice or criminal justice classes, if available, also gets you some experience or exposure to that area to see if you're interested in that area of law.
I would add public speaking. I think that years back I had the communications, a communications class. Years back, there was a recommendation at City College, and all I remember is Cameron. So I don't know if that's his first name or his last name, but as a professor of communications, that he was really great, had some great exercises to help you, and really heard really high recommendations for that professor. But I think any kind of professor to get you out of any kind of class, to get you out of that, to make you feel more comfortable. I think that I didn't do that when I was younger. I wish I would have done that, because really realizing the public speaking, it's just, or that fear or that nervousness, it gets better as you practice, as you speak, as you as you do it more. And so I think either that or a Toastmasters class, something where you're able to speak and just feel better and getting that experience.
Great. And I think we have a couple more minutes left, so I'll try to get to some, maybe one more question. When in law school, what was a deciding factor for you to do nonprofit rather than doing corporate or big law, where you knew you would be making more money realistically?
That's a good question, especially living in Santa Barbara, because there's definitely no way I'd be able to live here and work at Legal Aid if I didn't have help. And so I was lucky enough, my parents were able to secure property. And so I had that help even through, school, undergraduate. And so I really wanted to help people. I didn't want, and the money part of it, I'm asking and billing, and really those 15 minutes or those increments of 6 minutes add up. And so next thing you know, this person that's really needing help is being charged thousands of dollars. And now that's just me personally. I just didn't feel comfortable with that. But really, I think that if I didn't have the help that I had, and I really needed to pay, I think I would really strongly consider somewhere else where I would need to bill and just and make money. And the thought I've been with Legal Aid for about 24 years, actually 28 all total, because I took a little break, but 24 years. And throughout the years, I have thought about it. I've thought about it, but really, I love what I do. And really, if you love what you do, it's really not like working at all. I think there was a quote that Joyce Dudley would often say, it's just like not working at all when you love what you do.
I agree wholeheartedly. It is, well, I worked in the civil, in a private civil firm, and I had to bill as a paralegal, bill hours. And it is, it's a lot of pressure, especially as an attorney. There's billable hours you have to meet. And so, yes, the money might be better sometimes, but the amount of your life you have to give up to get that money is significant. So it looks like we're at 5 o'clock. Before we end, I just, again, want to thank everyone, and please feel free to email me if you have any questions. And I hope that this was informative and helpful. And so I expect to see all of you here in the future doing what we're doing now and giving back and lighting the path for those coming behind you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. And thank you, Ms. Diaz, for all the wonderful information that you provided today. That was just so fantastic. I came away with a number of things that I think are so important for students to know. A couple that just stand out to me that you said. One, Judge Deroian, you said, no one can take away your education, and grab opportunities. Just remember that when you leave here today. And Elizabeth, you said a really good question. Why not me? And then you took a lot of opportunities in sort of a natural, organic way and ended up developing and learning your leadership skills. And I just love how that organically happened, while that does happen in our careers, but also the strategy part that Judge Deroian, you mentioned about taking that time off and taking that big risk, taking the loan out and all of that, and how really that's just sort of the twists and turns of building and developing your career. So I think you had so many important things to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
It's great.
All
right, we'll see everybody in March, I hope. Thank you.
Yes, we're going to hang on here just for another second. We want to let students know that if you have a question in the chat, we will respond afterwards. We'll have that, we'll have access to that. And I do want to put up a screen, Luke, if you wouldn't mind doing that, to put up our screen for taking a survey. If you want to put your phone up to the QR code and just tell us how you thought we did. And I'll put in the chat if you can't reach that one. I'm just going to put a link in the chat if you'd rather answer it that way, and I'll pop that in right now. Thank you to everybody. It was so great to see you. And shout out to IT too. They were instrumental in making this go as well. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.